Good evening. Welcome to the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education regular public meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 30th, 2014. Mrs. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Cleary? Here. Dr. Kulikowski?
Here.
Mr. McFall?
Here.
Mrs. Shermer?
Here.
Mrs. Winkler?
Here.
Mrs. Warner?
Here.
Mrs. Bauer?
Here.
Mr. Whitehouse?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Would you please join me in the salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, notice of this meeting has been provided to the Borough Clerk of Fanwood, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, the Scotch Plains Times, and the Patch. Prior to meeting in public, the board met in executive session where we reviewed the personnel report. I see on our agenda, additions to the agenda are 2 LET, an invitation to attend a dedication ceremony, 4S, approval of field trips, 5S, 2014 through 2017 strategic plan, 13 BUS, vendor-related services, 6 OBB, just superintendent's merit goals for 2014 and 15. Do we have any other additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. This will be the first of 3 opportunities for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board, we ask that you step to the microphone, state your name, the town you reside in. Again, this will be the first of 3 opportunities today's meeting. While we see someone stepping to the microphone, I'll just take a moment that we have all the candidates for the upcoming election in the room tonight, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to mention them all, welcome them all. We have Mr. Evan Murray, candidate for Scotch Plains, Mrs. Michelle Polhamus, candidate for Scotch Plains. On our dais here as a incumbent is Mr. Warren McFall, also on the ballot from Scotch Plains, and from Fanwood, Mrs. Jean Cleary, running unopposed. So just get those introductions out of the way. Welcome to those over there, and welcome back for those over to my left. Sorry, Mrs. Clancy Warren.
It's okay. Hi,
Clancy
Cindy
Warren.
Clancy Warren, Scotch Plains. 2 unrelated questions. First, how many kids did we get signed up for the subscription busing? I was just curious. How many students ended up signing up?
And honestly, I didn't keep a count, but I think there is probably 25.
About 25. Okay. I was just curious. No. And the other question I'll ask, and then I'll have a seat. When we did the park practice testing last spring, some of us were just curious about if we learned anything from that. I know all the info went back to the state, but just out of curiosity, what did we learn from our staff about that will help us rolling out this year? But I can sit down for that.
You always ask such good questions. We learned that the 3rd graders thought it was much more fun to take the test on the computer than it was on paper. We certainly didn't have any feedback with respect to how the students achieved on the items, but we did get a sense of how the technology worked and how much support we needed in just using the technology in this new format. So in that way, it was very helpful. But the students overall were very comfortable, much less stressed than the adults.
Thank you, Dr. Mast. Anyone else?
Marcy Bowman from Scotch Plains, and I'm here representing PTA Council, and it's perfect timing that the candidates are all here because I want to talk about the PTA-sponsored Candidates Night that we hold every year, where we get an opportunity to ask questions of the candidates, let the public get to know them a little bit and find out about them. It's going to be held this year on October 20th at 7 p.m. and we're still determining the location. Traditionally, it has been in this room, and last year it was standing room only, so we're considering moving it to a larger venue, and we just want to work and make sure we find a space that provides the technology and also enough room for the audience, so we'll be working on that, and I'm hoping to get a chance to meet all the candidates before they leave tonight, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Any reporters in the room, please take note of that. October 20th, Candidates Night, 7 p.m. Have your readers stay tuned. It's 7 or 7:30?
7:30.
7:30
Yeah, 7:30.
p.m.
Let's say so.
But you may want to get there at 7 for a good seat. How's that? PTA and board always working together. Anyone else wishing to address the board at this point? Okay, like I said, there'll be 2 other opportunities this evening, so let's close that and move on to committee reports. Do we have any committees that have met since our last meeting? Mrs. Winkler?
Shared Services had a meeting last Wednesday, September 24th. We spoke briefly about traffic flow and drop-off at Brunner and how things were going since the parking has been restricted to one side of the street. It sounds like so far things are going fairly smoothly with that. We're just keeping an eye on it. We spoke also briefly about joint refuse disposal bid that was submitted on behalf of the board and both the communities. We spoke about the Safe Routes to School policy, which is a grant that Fanwood has been applying for pretty regularly. I think going forward, next round, we're going to see if we can't get something together within the district, as well as, like have our own Safe Routes to School plan. And I think Scotch Plains may hop on that with us. We may, the 3 entities together, submit something for grants for sidewalks. What else? Interestingly, it was brought up by someone not from the board end about having TV coverage of high school events such as sports and musical events on the local cable channels. So that was interesting. They're interested in doing that for us if we can get them tapes and things like that. So that's exciting to get a little more something else. I think what else? That was pretty much about it.
Good, thank you, Mrs. Winkler. A lot more to be had with shared services. Anyone else? Yes, Mrs. Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehouse. The Finance Committee met last night, and it was an interesting meeting. We went over in some detail the budget assumptions we'll be using for next school year, which is 15-16, unbelievable. But Ms. Saradaki, our business administrator, likes to stay ahead of the curve. So we went through some numbers there and some preliminary numbers on the close of last fiscal year, FY14. I keep saying fiscal year, calendar year, school year 14. Those are not ready for review, but we had a good discussion of some changes there, and we will bring them to the board, of course. We also had a discussion of some of the professional fees and whether it's time to bid out some professional fees. Of course, you don't have to bid them out necessarily, but I think we agreed that it was probably a good time to do that for some. And we reviewed capital projects and purchases for the last few years. Mr. Lane had asked for some background material, which was an excellent suggestion that was prepared for us, because we're looking to see what we can expect in terms of need in the future. So we're in the process of reviewing some of our history and expectations, demand, need in the future. So it was, nothing urgent came from the meeting, but it was quite a good one. So thank you as always to our business administrator who keeps us quite well informed and on the straight and narrow. Any other comments from our finance committee members? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Any other committee reports? Yes.
Facilities met last night as well. We had a fairly brief agenda. We talked a bit about the work at the McGinn Pond, which had been the subject of a citizen inquiry and comment, I think one of the last 2 meetings. And staff have trenched from the pond area to a drainage pipe and removed some branches and some dams. We'll be looking to get some quotes on fencing to install along the Pond Creek area and replace some fencing on the walkway over that bridge. There will probably be a request for approval of fencing costs probably during the October. The second thing we talked about is related to really sort of inventorying our sidewalk ramps and are they ADA compliant, or at 80 in the current iteration of ADA compliance. And hopefully, Ms. Iredell has a report in the near future, and we can talk about how to include that in any other capital projects. I think the other item that was brought to our attention was the parking situation at Park. And we are short 50 parking spaces, and we need to try to find some solutions, which may be a pretty tall order, to how can we accommodate 50 cars over there. There's no solution per se on the table, but I think that there was a high school initiative a few years back to sort of examine how to solve the parking problem at the high school, and I think that kind of focus will be brought over, sometime. It may be some weeks or months before then, so something worth discussing.
I didn't realize it was that severe, 50 spots.
We've added additional programs. Their enrollment is up, so it's a combination of that. When you add some special classes, you're adding not only a teacher, but you're potentially adding 2 or 3 aides.
Right.
So overall, their staffing is up and their parking remains static.
I mean, by current count, it takes about 100 by 100 lot
Right.
to accommodate 50 cars, conventional parking lot calculations. It's 10,000 feet, give or take.
Or a 3-tiered deck. That doesn't need to
went
go in
over
the
in
paper.
Westfield.
That doesn't need to be written down. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Anything else on facilities? Okay. Any other committee reports? Okay, let's close this section and move on to the instructional update. This is related to our strategic plan. Dr. Hayes, will you be using?
There's never anything planned for them. She wanted to know if there was a way to bring a speaker in. There's always ways to do it. So they have to come up with the ideas. I mean,
Okay, tonight it is my pleasure to update the board and the public on our strategic planning initiative for the 2014-2017 school years. Our mission statement for the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools is that we educate and empower our community of individual learners to be successful citizens of the world. This is the mission statement that was developed on our initial strategic planning process approximately 6 years ago. And our board, in terms of conducting this current revisiting of our strategic plan, stayed with the same mission statement. It also stayed with the core beliefs that we set our work in. And this is that children learn best when they are in supportive and nurturing environments, when they are given attention and high expectations, and our students are provided with varied instructional approaches and feel empowered as learners. Again, these were the same core beliefs that we had as the foundation for our previous strategic plan. Building on the fact that you have many people that contribute to the success of our students, we recognize and appreciate and celebrate the fact that we draw from our staff who recognize the potential and individuality of every child, from the role of our families play in providing the foundation for the education of our children, and the role that the community plays in being knowledgeable about issues that affect students in order to advocate for their right to learn. We began the strategic process, the strategic planning process, by having a discussion with the representatives from the New Jersey school boards. Gwen Thornton came in and she met with our board's strategic planning committee. They examined the variety of approaches that school board supports in terms of looking at strategic planning, and it was this committee that made the recommendation to the full board that we work with school boards on this initiative. In choosing that, it was advised that because we had a strong strategic plan that we had completed most recently, that what was best for our district was to engage in the 3D strategic planning model. This was a series of 3 meetings that were open to everyone in the public that were held on April 2nd, April 29th, and May 15th of 2014. The participants included administrators and staff, parents, students, community leaders, and interested citizens. There were small group discussions at these meetings that highlighted the strengths and achievements of the district, what is our vision for the future of the district, and we identified goals and strategies to achieve, the goals and strategies needed to move our district forward. Through that process, we were able to coalesce and bring our goals that we hope to achieve by 2017 down to 5 major areas. The first is in the area of technology, which includes not only using technology for learning, but also technology to communicate with parents in the wider community, and technology to help us manage our student data records and everything that we need to do to keep our district moving forward, everything from payroll to managing our curriculum. And under that, we determined the following goal, that we would use technology to advance student achievement, enhance communication between home and school, promote the development of student and staff digital skills, and improve district data management. Specifically under that, the strategies that we'll use over the next 3 years include, first of all, capitalizing on ways that technology can enhance learning opportunities. We hope to identify and implement technology resources to enrich the curriculum, apply adaptive technology to support our students in special education, to implement online courses, support student-initiated learning, engage parents in technology workshops, provide ongoing technology professional development to the staff, embed cyber ethics into our programs and curriculum, maximize PowerSchool, which is our data management on the student end, that potential to communicate with parents, students, and staff, and streamline and update the district and school and teacher websites. Under our second goal, which focused on the area of facilities to create safe, secure learning environments, we determined that our goal would be to maintain and upgrade our district facilities within the confines of the district budget and the 2% cap, seeking grants whenever available. The specific strategies under Goal 2 will include prioritizing our maintenance and technology infrastructure needs, updating and implementing the district's long-range facility plan, implementing prioritized near-term facilities improvements, and evaluating and updating the building access and security. In the third goal, which was highly discussed, we're focused on early childhood initiatives, where we want to continue to maximize our district resources for all of our early childhood learners, recognizing that so much depends upon getting our students off to a strong start. So the strategies under Goal 3 include reviewing and evaluating support services with the goal of optimizing learning outcomes for our K-2 students, exploring the implementation of full-day kindergarten, and maintaining our current class sizes. Under Goal 4, we focused a lot on creating authentic learning experiences for our students. We want to engage them in problem-based learning as we prepare them to be globally minded problem solvers and communicators to meet the challenges of the future, recognizing that they are going to live in a world that continues to be very different from the world that we live in. So under those, the strategies included providing professional development to support authentic learning experiences, including opportunities for supporting lesson study, increasing problem-based, self-directed learning for students so that they can develop to critical thinkers and problem solvers, utilizing community resources to provide students with authentic experiences, and also engaging them in multiple perspectives to increase their awareness of global issues, diversity, and geographic influences. We want our students to develop communication skills, both interpersonal and presentational, and integrate the arts across the core content areas pre-K through grade 12. Our fifth goal was to explore partnerships with colleges, businesses, and government. The specific idea here was to develop opportunities for career exploration by accessing partnerships with colleges, businesses, government, and community resources. Specific strategies include developing programs that allow students to explore careers, for example, shadowing a professional or an expert, scheduling career exploration days in K-12, implementing developmentally appropriate distance learning opportunities K-12. This may take advantage of technology such as video conferencing or virtual lab work, and using community service resources to support career awareness. This plan will be an invaluable tool in providing direction and our priorities as we move down the path of continuing to improve outcomes for all students. Finally, we'd like to thank all of the participants that came out to. There's a full listing that will be published on the brochure that summarizes our goals and our strategies, but I'd particularly like to thank tonight those people that served on the Strategic Planning Committee, including our board members, Jean Cleary, Amy Winkler, Nancy Norris-Bauer, and our central office staff that helped to shepherd and shape the process as we move forward. So with that, I will entertain any questions that the board may have on our strategic planning outcomes for 2014-17.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. Board members, questions, comments? None? Mrs. Warner.
I think that, thanks to the work of so many here, you've been able to pull together a really representative and pointed plan for us to guide us over the next few years. And I thank you for that, because you made it pretty simple, straightforward. I know there was a lot of detail that went into this. I'd like to ask you just one question about technology plans. So you mentioned in here on the detail streaming update district, school, and teacher websites. And probably this, my question applies to all of this, but how does that get fleshed out over the next so many months?
Well, it isn't necessarily over so many months. So the whole framework is to guide us over the next 3 years. And then if the board's pleasure is to approve this plan tonight, then annually we will be presenting to the board specific goals under these areas for us to accomplish within a year's time frame. And so part of that, stay tuned, because at our next meeting, we will be sharing the first round of goals under each of these 5 broad areas. One of the things that we are very interested in doing in terms of the area of technology is particularly looking at things like in communicating with parents. Right now, our middle school and our high school parents have the opportunity to use PowerSchool, the online program, to look at shared grade books. Our elementary school parents don't have that option right now because our report card does not integrate well with PowerSchool. We are continually looking at our district website in terms of creating better connections within it and updating the content. And some of that may involve refreshing and looking how some of our technology staff is deployed so that we can stay current with that. The principals in turn are working with their teachers. One of the areas that we work with in terms of the Danielson model is how teachers communicate with families. And so there are increasing expectations to update and maintain teacher websites relative to that. So we can provide training to the teachers to help those that need some support in that area, or just sharing best practices in terms of what some of our premier teacher websites look like.
So maybe I clearly wasn't very good at that. So who is doing that? Do you work with the standing committee, or who works on developing, like, which of these goes forward in the first year?
We usually present that to the full board. You'll be getting something in your packet this week, and then you'll get the opportunity to comment on that, so that before we ask for the board's support, there's an ample way to flesh out whether or not that meets everybody's hopes, dreams, and desires.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warner. Anyone else?
Well, I wanted to say one thing. I was really pleased with the turnout and the vigorous discussions, and I was thinking about the list that's on there, and that's actually only the people who signed in, right?
Yes.
Because I think there may be people who were there who didn't think to sign in necessarily, I'm not sure, but because we did have a really, I thought, a good turnout.
We had an amazing turnout from our community, and I not only judge it by how filled the room was, but also Gwen Thornton, who worked with us to facilitate, worked with districts across the state on this, and she was really impressed with the turnout and the high quality of discussion that each of the subgroups had as they came together. She said, you know, she goes into some districts, and if they get a handful of people out, it's a lot. So we are so blessed to have so many people interested in what our schools are doing to give us the support to move things forward.
Anyone else? Yes.
Just to add to that, I think there's 3 sessions that were held.
Yes.
And each one, okay, we got into small groups. And some of the questions that came out were so interesting, but we were able to bring those all together in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I think to echo that, Mr. McFall, the fact that we had our mayors, council people, chiefs of police, beyond the parents, faculty, board members, PTA representatives, there were students, there were folks in that room, I know, that their connection with the school at this point in their lives are, I'll say, strictly through funding with their tax dollars, and yet they were there and engaged, and that's meaningful when you're putting together a strategic plan, so that there is a balance from all stakeholders. And I do publicly thank both communities, Scotch Plains and Fanwood, because we did have a good representation of multiple stakeholders, including those that their connection is more monetary at this point in their lives than with students or employment with the school district. So that was very heartening to see. I want to thank you also for the presentation, and again, the committee members to hold all that information. I know Mr. Thornton from school boards tried to do some summarizing, but our committee here, board members and faculty administration, also helped make it into something cohesive to present. And what I'm pleased about is it's a strategic plan for the school district. So if you noticed, it touched on technology, and Dr. Hayes made a point of saying not only within the classroom, but our payroll, and things where we can be efficient from a cost standpoint, as well as leveraging it from an educational standpoint. Our facilities, from safety and upkeep, so that the bonding from 13 or so years ago, that investment that the taxpayers entrusted us with through the large bond over a dozen years ago, is still being maintained through operating dollars. All grades were touched, from preschool and kindergarten up until opportunities for distance learning and potential college opportunities, collaboration for our high schoolers. That, I think, is real important, and that speaks to the folks that were in those small breakout sessions, that we had people there that were parents of high schoolers. Heck, they were high schoolers in some of them, as well as people that are still in the beginning of their journey. I think that too was important. And finally, the last few strategic planning sessions over the years have been more, they've been about 5 years or so, 4 or 5 years. This shortened horizon, I think, is important also, because this last year or so, as we were looking at the goals, some of them were lofty and we needed the extra time, but I think given where we are here, 3 years is a good timeline to start looking at revisiting, do we want to alter the path a little bit? So hurrah to everyone involved, and I look forward to, as Mrs. Warner had said also, the specifics on this coming year and the next few. So well done, Dr. Hayes, and again, everyone else who participated.
Also that I'd like to make that I just thought about, that I had noticed there, that I had gone to 2 out of 3 meetings, and there are lots of teachers there too. And to see the concern and how they cared in their thought process, and they had fabulous ideas for the kids, and they're there all the time, and they're still there at these meetings, still giving to us, and still want to give to the kids. They're just special people. Really special. Great ideas.
Anyone else?
Actually, Tripp, I would just like to say one thing. I think that with the strategic plan, it's so important not to lose sight of the fact that it really is the input of everyone. And when people came out, we were able to capture a lot of different perspectives on issues that we share. We talk a lot about what the core is and, all of those things. But this is an opportunity for real local control. And this is an opportunity for the public to come out and have a voice in the process. And you can see those things reflected back in the strategic plan. Technology not only for the student, but also for the parent. Teacher websites and communication, that was something that many parents have spoken about, a need for more information. But teachers also now are in a position, because of a new platform with the Danielson model, that they're as interested in getting the support to do that well. So, as they always were, but now it's moved to the front of the line. So the strategic plan, I think we can be really proud of, because it really did do what the overall process is meant to do, which is to reflect the community that we live in and let our community put the mark of what we feel is important and valuable to education for all of our students. So I was really pleased to be part of the process, so thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cleary. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. Okay. Then, moving on with the agenda. Letters to the board, one LET, that was an addition, that is an invitation to attend a dedication ceremony at the Jane Lawler Lending Library at McGinn School on Friday, October 3rd at 2 p.m. Mrs. Lawler was a fantastic educator that my children had her a number of years back. Seeing that they're doing it, that the district is doing this, I don't know if I'll be able to be there at 2 o'clock, but I will try my hardest. Just, she was a wonderful lady, and it's nice to see that they're doing this, the lending library in McGinn for her. So if you could make it, it would be nice.
Not miss it.
Great. So we'll have at least one. I just thank you. Hopefully there'll be more. Superintendent's report, Dr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehouse. Tonight, I would ask that the board approve the out-of-district placement as listed on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you just, is this someone who's been in district and who just decided they needed out of district, or they've been out and they're changing?
This is a student that we need to change in placement because she needed therapeutic learning environment.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go on, Dr. Hayes.
At our last meeting, thank you for approving the AP Physics C textbook, and we did with graduation verification. So tonight for us, I would ask that the board approve the field trip request as listed on the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Volunteers to go on some of these nice looking trips. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go on.
And by this, I would ask that the board approve the strategic plan as presented this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments related to the strategic plan? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And finally, I would ask that the board approve the personnel agenda as discussed in exec this evening.
Questions or comments on personnel? Ms. Saradaki, would you please call the roll?
Yes,
Mrs. Warner.
Dr. Kolakowski? Yes. Mrs. Warner?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleary? Yes. Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. McFall?
Yes.
Mrs. Shermer? Yes. Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Mr. Whitehouse?
Yes.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. In accordance with policy 9322-R, we'll open the meeting for the second of 3 opportunities for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board, the microphone is by the podium. Seeing no one, you'll have one more crack at us before the meeting concludes. We'll close this portion and move on to the business portion. For those following along in the audience, we'll only be voting on items that have an asterisk. Anything else we've voted on in the prior week. So because we spoke about these at our last meeting, this part could go real fast, so buckle up. Go ahead, Mrs. Saradaki, you can block them if you would prefer.
Thank you. 1 BOS is the approval of the staff training on the superintendent's recommendation report dated September 30th, 2014. 2 BOS is asking for your acknowledgement of receipt of the disbursement listings for some of our smaller bank accounts. 3 BOS you approved at the last board meeting regarding the transportation route. 4 BUS is approval of vendors for Rep Theater. These are people that work with us that are not on our payroll. 5 BUS is participating in the Reading Recovery Program at a cost of $5,400 through the Flemington Raritan Regional School District. 6 BUS is approval of the science labs for rooms 137 and 139. This is so that we can order the equipment. There's approximately a 12-week lead time. And these 2 rooms are essentially identical. So the cost for each room is the same, $91,600.
7 BUS was approved at the last board meeting regarding the OFAC report. 8 BUS, the change order for the new rooftop units was also approved at the last board meeting. 9 BUS is acknowledging receipt of the board secretary report, the treasurer of school funds reports, and the budget adjustments for the month of August 2014. 10 BUS is approval of the bill list for the period August 23rd through September 26th in the amount of $4,013,509.60. 11 BUS is the designation of the official depository for the music funds, which was approved at the last board meeting. 12 BUS is non-public school technology initiative program agreements. This is for the individual schools that will be receiving non-public technology funds. 13 BUS is related services through private vendor. This is a new OT person that we will be having work with the students.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion? Any questions or comments on any of the ones that Ms. Sardaki? Mrs. Warner?
I just comment, I want to make sure that my understanding is correct, that the vendors related to the rep theater, their pay is funded entirely by proceeds.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments for the business items? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I will, as I annually do, abstain from those that are related to non-public funds. 12 BUS, thank you. In case you tried to slip in another one, I figured I don't miss anything non-public, I abstain. I'm getting better. 10 years ago, I used to vote no. Anyway, board policy. Mrs. Winkler?
I'd like to move that the board approve the second and final reading of policy 4283, electronic communications between support staff members and students.
Any questions or comments on the second reading? Ms. Sardaki, would you please call the roll?
Sorry, I missed.
Motion by Mrs. Winkler, Mr. McFall, second.
Yes. Mrs. Winkler? Yes. Mr. McFall?
Yes.
Mrs. Cleary? Yes. Dr. Kulikowski? Yes. Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mrs. Shermer? Yes. Mrs. Warner? Yes. Mrs. Ballard? Yes. Mr. Whitehouse?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. For the benefit of the public, the board has to take a roll call on policy, curriculum, and personnel. And then sometimes if things are a little dicey and each one wants their vote weighed in on, we'll do a roll call. But normally those are the three we have to, so that's why we kind of bounce back. Okay, new board business. Anything to be added to a future agenda? Other board business, request to attend workshops? Any workshop reports?
We did have a meeting of Garden State, and it was a very interesting meeting. We had Barry Ehrlichson there, who's the chief, what is she the chief of?
Chief academic officer.
Chief academic officer. And so she was updating us on a number of things related to testing dates, data collection, all of those kinds of things. And that was the majority of the meeting, although there was time spent on legislation that's currently in the process and so forth. What I would really encourage, because I think we have more people going than usual to the school board conference, is that you try to go to the Garden State Coalition session there. They are having a number of legislators on the panel, and if it's like last year, they're very forthcoming. And so it was really very interesting, and I think, I forget which afternoon it is, but it is in the agenda for the conference.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer.
I have a workshop to report on.
Report away.
Okay, September 20th, I had the pleasure of attending the New Jersey School Board's Preparing for Bargaining workshop. And I will report as follows, that it was a very informative workshop. We met 9-4 and learned a lot about PERC laws, provisions impacting bargaining, changes to those laws, the new Chapter 78, and the impact on when employees' shares can be negotiated. We learned costing out of collective bargaining, how to do it and what to be aware of, how to work with your business administrator on the details, and how best to produce, ideally, the kind of contract you want to have on the table and negotiate. So it was a very good session.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. I just want to take a minute and thank you. That for those that don't know, Mrs. Warner has been on the board 11 years now and is the chair of our negotiating committee with the teachers union, the big gorilla, if you will, as far as all the negotiation teams. You've been on that, 3 or 4 rounds of negotiations, and 11 years later, and she's still spending 7 hours on a weekend trying to learn more. So thank you very much for attending that.
It's just, there's a lot to learn, and it's certainly worth spending as much time as possible. And I've shared a lot of the details with my fellow committee members.
She brought us all big books.
No, I mean, and not to downplay any of the other workshops that are attended. There's, we do have a team and a professional negotiator as well. And for you to take that time after this much time and that many sessions that you've been, real life negotiations.
Well, thank
Says
you,
a lot about your
and are you
dedication to this
impressed?
board.
I'm going back October 11th for the next session.
I'll hold that for the meeting post October 11th.
Fair. Well, thank you, Mr. Whitehouse.
It's taught a long time ago. Keep them wanting more. So, no, that's thank you for the dedication to that, because that's a big deal
Yeah,
and
it's a
can
big deal.
help serve us as a district well. So, thank you, Ms. Warner. Anyone else workshop reports? Okay, we have a series of resolutions in front of us. The rule here has been the last bunch of years, if you're going to move it, you'll read it, because if it's important enough to make the motion, it should be read publicly. Mr. Lane?
I'd like to move the first one.
Okay.
With respect resolution. Whereas the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights was approved by the New Jersey State Legislature in November 2010 and signed into law by Governor Chris Christie in January 2011. And whereas the statute is intended to protect students from harassment and intimidation that would substantially interfere with their education. And whereas in a 2009 survey by the National Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 5 New Jersey students indicated that they had been the subject of bullying on school grounds during the previous school year. And whereas the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights places expanded responsibilities on teachers, school administrators, and Board of Education to protect students from incidents of bullying, harassment, and intimidation. Whereas the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights designates the week beginning the first Monday in October as a week of respect throughout New Jersey. And whereas the law directs school districts to observe the week of respect through age-appropriate instruction in accordance with New Jersey's core curriculum content standards. And whereas the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes the harmful impact of harassment and bullying on children, and is committed to providing all of its students with a safe and secure learning environment free from intimidation. Whereas the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education supports the intent of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights to protect our children, as well as the goal of previous law to enhance training and instruction to prevent harassment, intimidation, and bullying. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education declares October 6 through 10, 2014 as a week of respect in all district schools, and be it further resolved that the Week of Respect will be part of the Scotch Plains Family Public Schools' ongoing efforts to foster respect among students and staff for the diverse cultures and personalities represented in our school community, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to Governor Chris Christie, State Senator Nicholas P. Scudiari, Assembly Representatives Linda Stender and Jerry Green, the New Jersey School Board Association, and the Union County School Board Association.
Got a second?
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Lane. 3OBB, School Lunch Week.
I'll do it.
Mr. McFall?
Yeah. Okay. I'll make a motion that the Board of Education adopts the following resolution proclaiming the week of October 13th to 17th as National School Lunch Week. And whereas school districts around the nation will celebrate National School Luncheon Week from October 13th to 17th, 2014, and whereas this year's theme of the National School Lunch Week is Get in the Eating and Physical Activity, and the National School Lunch Program is dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children. And whereas the National School Lunch Program has planned throughout the years, and many of other excellent food and physical activities, programs for children, whereas evident in the continuous need for education and nutrition is a combination of physical activity and awareness of the value of the school nutrition programs. Whereas the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education recognizes that the children will provide breakfast and lunch daily are better prepared for the classroom environment, where being able to focus on learning. Whereas in the work of the school, Scotch Plains Family education, proper nutrition, principles for the able daily. Whereas the state Board of Education continues to recognize the men and women who accept and meet learning challenges to provide school lunches for our children, and where therefore we resolve that the week of October 14th to 17th, 2014, be recognized as the National School Lunch Program. Be it further resolved that the National School Lunch Week be devoted to the recognition of everyone who contributes to the successful operation of our school lunch food service program. Be it further resolved that this special week serve as a real time to urge all Scotch Plains family residents to become aware and concerned about their children and that the nutrition program helps achieve my hopeful community for today and the future.
Have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. McFall. 4OBB, School Violence Awareness.
School Violence Awareness Week. Move that the Board of Education adopts the following resolution proclaiming the week of
October 20th through 24th, 2014 as School Violence Awareness Week. Whereas the Scotch Plains Family Board of Education encourages awareness and promotes education on effective methods to reduce and prevent youth violence and raise awareness of school safety and security issues, and provide information that parents, community members, and educators can utilize to make schools safer and more secure. And whereas district schools shall observe this week by organizing activities to prevent school violence, including but not limited to age-appropriate opportunities for student discussion on conflict resolution, issues of student diversity and tolerance. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education proclaims the week of October 20th through 24th, 2014 as School Violence Awareness Week.
Have a second?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Cleary. Number 5.
I'd like to move that.
Sure thing, Mrs. Warner, go
National
on.
Principals Month. Whereas schools inspire the next generation of professionals, political leaders, artists, educators, and others who contribute to the healthy and prosperous society, and whereas principals are responsible for providing instructional leadership and professional management in our schools, and whereas principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teachers to develop and maintain high curriculum standards, set performance goals and objectives, and ensure high-quality instruction, and whereas principals are dedicated to their students' ongoing academic and intellectual development, principals work to provide a positive support system to empower their students and to give them the right tools they need to succeed, and whereas school principals are responsible for the safety of their students and staff and the security of the school, and whereas principals maintain student discipline, carrying out a philosophy of discipline that includes setting high standards, providing the support students need, and demanding the best of them, and whereas principals are key to implementing state and federal education reforms in New Jersey, and whereas principals lead the way in making schools accountable to students, parents, the community, and other stakeholders, each principal is responsible for fostering a dynamic partnership between the community and the school in order to create a positive learning environment for students. And whereas the month of October has been declared National Principals Month, and is dedicated to recognizing the significant contributions of our nation's principals and the enthusiasm they have for providing quality educational experiences and guidance to their students, and whereas the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes and appreciates the skills, dedication, and commitment to Scotch Plains Fanwood principals and the challenges they face daily, now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education recognizes and commends the Scotch Plains Fanwood principals for their continued service to our children, and be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education honors and acknowledges the contribution of Scotch Plains Fanwood principals in the success of students in Scotch Plains Fanwood, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be sent to Governor Chris Christie, State Senator Nicholas Scutari, Assembly Representative Linda Stender, and Jerry Green, the New Jersey School Board Association, and the Union County School Boards Association. That's it. I want to add a note of my own that.
Are you allowed to do that?
Second.
Thank you. Oh, I failed my most important mission there.
12 years doing this, I've never seen an amendment to a resolution. Oh, okay, it's been made and seconded. Questions, comments, Mrs. Warner?
Well, I just, I want to say that principals are, the main representative of the school to parents very often. They absolutely play a critical role. I think I've been so impressed with the principals my children have had in the various schools. We are blessed, and it's not luck. It's an intentional system that brings in very high-quality principals, and we clearly benefit from them. And in my various readings, I know that there are statistically significant studies showing that principals make a quantitative difference in the educational achievement of students in their schools. So while that might be obvious to everyone, it's important that we truly acknowledge and shake the hands of our principals because of the dedication they give to our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Warner. Any other questions or comments on that resolution?
I would echo what Mrs. Warner said, but before we send it off, can we change the spelling of Scotch in that resolution at the end?
It's so unusual.
Send it to the governor, okay.
In all my years, I don't think I've seen a typo, of course. Tells you what. But I mean, it just makes you realize how well done these are, because a typo jumps out at you as such an oddity.
Debbie, don't you normally send a copy of this to all the principals too?
We'll have them here in October to
All right,
honor them.
that's not indicated there.
No, yeah.
What was that, our?
I was just
council?
commenting that don't you normally send a copy of it to the principals, but apparently they will be here next month.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Shake their hands.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 60BB, Superintendent's Merit Goals for the
I'd like to move that.
2014-15.
I'll second that.
Even before it's read, that's pretty impressive.
Moving and seconded.
Try to-
And the motion is to send the goals to the county superintendent for final approval. The
We
board has
approve
approved
submission
them,
of those
but the
goals.
county superintendent needs to approve them as well. Any questions or comments on that motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, board, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our August, the one meeting, both the public and the executive session.
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments, or needs for abstentions?
I need to abstain.
Anyone else? Did you get Mr. McFall's as well as Dr. Kulikowski's? Anyone else? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, board. For the third and final time this evening, per policy 9322-R, anyone wishing to address the board, we are open at the mic. Seeing no one, we'll close this portion and move on to the good of the order. Does anyone have anything for the good of the order, board members?
I think our artwork should be commended. It's really amazing.
It's phenomenal.
Thank you, and this is the last day of Art Month, if I recall a resolution from that August meeting. Although we are graced with these works of art changing all year long. Each month we get something new from the different schools. I have something, the board members have seen this, the public should rejoice in this as well. It really talks to the quality of our leadership in the school district. It has been announced that Dr. Hayes, our superintendent of schools, was nominated by the faculty of the Rutgers Graduate School of Education for the University Council of Educational Administration Excellence in Leadership Award. And it has been further announced that she is a recipient of that award. So besides being nominated, congratulations to Dr. Hayes for being a recipient of that award, and my understanding is there is a commemorative presentation that will be taking place sometime, probably in the winter, from what I understand.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Hayes is quite a humble person, so I'm going to request that Dr. Mast or Mrs. Saradaki, please keep the board aware of any ceremonies that may be taking place in case Dr. Hayes thinks that's going to slip by us. Again, congratulations that we've known it for a number of years, your excellence in educational leadership, but it's nice to see that it is being recognized by our state university and others in the educational field. So, well done.
Absolutely.
Anyone else for the good of the order? Okay. Our upcoming meetings. Thursday, October 16th, and Thursday, October 23rd, and stuffed in between there, don't forget, October 20th, Monday night, Candidates Night at 7:30. And for those interested, tomorrow is October 1st, is back-to-school night at our high school, our last back-to-school night. Actually, I've attended a couple, and they've seemed to have gone relatively smoothly at all the different buildings, the elementaries and the middle schools. They were pretty well attended, so it was nice to see the engaged parents in our district, as well as nice things on the wall to greet
The
them.
elementary school I went to, it was standing room only. It was unbelievable.
That's great. Okay, with that, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
See you on the 16th, folks.